So we've been talking about hamstring strain recovery. In this video, I just wanted to talk a little bit about prevention. So this is for those of us who have already recovered from a hamstring strain recently or in the past and want to try to prevent that in the future, or for those of us who just want to try to prevent that ever happening. So it's particularly important for those who have had a hamstring strain once before because you're a little bit more likely to strain it again. Up to 1/3 of hamstring strains will re-injure within the first year of returning to sport. So it's really important that you pay particular attention within that first year, especially if it was quite a bad tear. So the reason for that being that the scar tissue is still remodeling for up to a year, or sometimes even more, and it's never really going to be exactly the same. So it's always going to be like a little bit of a weak spot in the muscle. So you want to make sure that you're doing your best to stabilize, strengthen, and support that injured area. So how we do that is, in general, we want to focus on hip mobility and stability and core stability. So a very common pattern that we see, because we're sitting down so often, for many of us, hip flexors are overly tight. So the hip flexors are the muscles in the front of the hips here, and they do this kind of action, or bend the torso forward. When they're tight, they're going to affect the strength of the glutes. So if the glutes aren't firing properly, that means that hamstrings have to take on an extra load, and that makes them a little bit more prone to straining. Or if you just notice that your hamstrings have always been tight, you might actually want to start, no matter how much you stretch, you might want to actually start looking at working on the hip flexors and the glute strength, and then you might actually notice getting a little bit more mobility through the hamstrings. So the kind of exercises that you'd be looking at doing, just as a bit of a general idea, is you've got your hip flexor stretch. So I'll cut to a quick video on how to do that. You've got your glute bridges, which is good for activating the glutes. We covered that in one of our recovery phase videos, but I'll show you another clip of that now. And then for hamstring strength in particular, the gold standard exercise for longevity is the Nordic curl. Now, I'm not going to attempt to show this for you, but you can look that up online. Essentially, you're on your knees, upright, and your ankles are anchored under something, or somebody's holding your ankles, and then you're lowering yourself down slowly as far as you can, and then back up. So you're getting what's called eccentric strength training, which is the muscle is contracting while it's lengthening. And that's really important. They've done a bunch of research, and that's one of the most effective types of exercises for strengthening the hamstrings in particular. So on top of those exercises and making sure you've got good hip and core stability is making sure that you're not overdoing it with your training and your exercises. If you're exercising every single day and you're not giving yourself adequate recovery time, you're opening yourself up for the chance of injury. Or if you're like very sedentary and then you go high intensity kind of exercise, again, that's a little bit more of a chance of injury there. So you want to make sure that you're just making sure that you're getting enough good quality sleep, your digestion's working well, you're not overly stressed, you're not overly sedentary, or like the difference between like your day-to-day and your exercise isn't too contrasted. On top of that, you can also check out our other video where we go into a little bit more about nutrition for the recovery process, but that's also important for longevity as well. One key takeaway is making sure you've got enough collagen in the diet. So that comes from, you can get collagen supplements or from bone broth, or eating around the bones and things like that. Throughout like exercise and with everything like that as well, you just want to make sure that if you have any pain or tension or any little niggles, jump on that before it becomes something big. So you want to address any imbalances and check in with your healthcare practitioner, or come and see us, and make sure you're just keeping on top of all those little things. Anyway, I hope you found this useful. If you did, please give us a like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.